Welcome to the Rooted Family Podcast, how to mindfully root ourselves and our families so that we can grow strong and aligned. Join me, Erin Sadler, as we discuss all things parenting, kids, health, wellness, and developing a roadmap for life that has you and your family thriving, not just surviving. I am a mom of 3. I'm a teacher with a master's degree in education, a health and wellness coach, a brain health coach, and a life coach. I love coaching kids and grown-ups on how to grow in mindful self-awareness to strengthen connections that support healthy brains. I have developed my own program called Grow Strong Roots, which teaches preschool through 5th grade students how to mindfully integrate academics with social-emotional skills, self-regulation, and brain-boosting values, including kindness, gratitude, creativity, resilience, courage, respect, responsibility, healthy eating, and healthy movement. I have found my purpose, and it is to help families, children, schools, and communities learn how to turn stress into success and plant seeds of love, peace, and happiness that will grow and blossom. Speaking, coaching, and teaching the Rooted Family method for growing strong roots and seeing children and families transform when they understand these concepts is my passion. Because when we grow strong roots, we can withstand any storm life may throw at us. Hey everybody, it's Erin from the Rooted Family. Welcome to the Treehouse today. If you're listening on the radio, thanks for listening to 103.5. If you're on the podcast, thanks. Don't forget, after you're done, leave me a question or a comment or even a topic you want me to explore down below, or something that's happening in your house that you're like, how do I deal with this? Just let me know. And I love seeing the questions and comments and concerns, and then I love helping you guys out too if possible. So that's kind of my jam, is to mold it all together and help families. So if I can do that and help you, I'm happy to do it. What we are going to be talking about today is a winner chicken dinner. I had an alumni who had gone through my kid coaching. She's a tweener. I had a tween go through some of my kid coaching, and she's amazing, and she's a great kid. And she came up to me, and she's just out there living her best life. She came up to me, and she was so excited to tell me. I happened to randomly see her, and she came up to me, and she said, I have to tell you something. And I was like, what? Okay, let's just take this in for a minute. When you hear what she told me, the fact that a tween girl came up to me and as the grown-up and told me this and emotionally shared this with me, and was so proud of this, I mean, holy buckets. There are times in your career where you internally hit your knees and you're like, oh my, thank you for that. Thank you. That made me so grateful to hear that I helped this kiddo have the tools to make a difference in her own life. And if I played any part of that, makes every time technology doesn't work or anything else does not work, it makes it all worth it, because this kiddo has tools that she can use for the rest of her life that help her with these things. So, and that is completely my jam. I want children to feel like they have the tools they need to go out into the world and handle any storm life throws at them. And so giving them the tools and practicing the tools that they need in their everyday lives so that when they do come across a storm, they know what to do. This friend kept I noticed in helping her that there was a repetitive storm pattern that kept blowing through. And what it was is, and some of you may identify, in situations at school, this kiddo was rocking school and was really actually somebody who stood up for people a lot. But at the same time, sometimes was getting in the mix when it wasn't appropriate, or when they didn't need to be involved, or when it was not something that even applied to them. And then she had totally invested herself in the situation and then reacted to the energy of everybody else in the group. And because they knew that she was the one who would rally, hear the rallying cry of everybody and then go respond, she actually put herself in some situations that were not beneficial to her because she was doing what everybody else wanted her to do and emotionally responding to others. So if you have a kiddo in your house who, and I can so identify with this, that their heart is in the right place, but they might be in the mix of others' emotional states and respond to others' emotional states without checking in with themselves, then this might be a good one for you to listen to. So she came up to me and she said, "Oh, I was so excited. The other day, I didn't let everybody else who was around me, their emotional wishes determine how I wanted to respond." First of all, again, tween said that. That was the words of a tween. Who came up and said, "I didn't let others' emotional wishes determine how I wanted to respond." I think we can all agree if we could have a lot of grown-ups using that tool, that would be amazing. So the fact that she gets it, just, can we order her crown right now and have it shipped to her ASAP? So we all react and respond to the emotional energy around us because it is who we are as humans. Our brains are wired to connect to each other. We emotionally and socially respond to each other all the time. And we're doing it without even our words. We're doing it with our body language. Some people call it vibes. We're sending off vibes and energy. We are energetic beings, so we do give off electromagnetic waves, and it's based on how our body is reacting to how we are feeling. And our brains are wired to look for social and emotional interaction with others. It's what helped us survive. Because if we didn't care about anybody else, we would have gone off by ourselves. And then we would not have any more children, or we would have gotten eaten by a saber-toothed tiger, and there would be no humans. So, really smart design feature that we need each other. But if we are constantly in the mix of the soup, then it's hard to know how we really feel. So if we're just swimming around in everybody else's emotions and we're letting everybody else sort of get us all wet with their emotions, then we don't really know how we feel when we're dry. So really being able to identify with what you want to do in that situation is important. So, and you see this in your house. If your kid's in a bad mood or your partner's in a bad mood, it can alter your thoughts, or your emotional level can change. And even if it's just your internal dialogue starts changing, like you're wondering what happened, you start your own stress response about something, you start worrying. If you start worrying because your child is having an emotional response or seems sullen or doesn't want to talk about something, they're just in a bad mood, then you've changed your emotional response from where you were at. You have altered yours. So we do it all the time. That's why it's so hard to parent, because those little muffins are tied to us with an invisible emotional string. So when something happens to them or they're hurt, we feel it. That's part of empathy. That's part of what our brains are built to do, so that we take care of our young and so that we keep them alive. So like I said, neurologically, we are wired that way. But we also have to be cognizant that we're not just sucking in everybody else's energetic, emotional states, and then we don't know how we feel about things, which is what she and I were working on. I wanted her to know how she felt about something and then respond based on how she felt, not just how the mob around her felt or the group around her felt or even one other person around her felt. So teaching our kids how to respond to a situation based on how they feel about it, but not based on the emotional feelings of others in the group. And if you have a kiddo that's in middle school, then you know that this is a skill that they could really use some work on for the most part. I know that in my own home, my middle schooler came home and was super upset about something that happened in a classroom with a teacher and a kid, and was telling me all about it. And I literally thought she was in that classroom when all this went down. And I mean, that's her emotional state, was as if she herself had been traumatized by the situation. And so I said, "Oh my gosh, what happened? What transpired? Did somebody do something about it?" And she was like, "Well, I don't know because I wasn't in that class." What? She wasn't even in the class. She had heard from like two people. I mean, I think she was like the third person removed from the situation. And yet, when she came and told me, her emotional state was like she was right there. So we had to have a little talk about like, what's the what are you so upset about? Why are you so emotionally tied to this? You may have feelings on what happened, but how do you feel about it? Because it's kind of like the telephone game. I feel like whoever it happened to, their emotion was high, and then they passed it to the next person, the next person passed it, and then it got to my kid, and my kid then just continued the emotion, even though that person wasn't directly involved with it. So first of all, I always teach kiddos and grown-ups to pause and observe. So just pause and observe the situation. When you start to feel that you're emotionally getting pulled into something, or you're having an emotional reaction to somebody else, just observe what's going on here. Why am I starting to have a reaction? So that's that mindful component. What is the trigger here? And is it I feel this way? Is it I feel this way a little bit, but everybody else is so riled up about it that now it's like a level 10 when it's really like a level 3 to me? Or is this something that like I want to hang my hat on and everybody else does? Or how vested am I in the situation really? Like, do I really care that much about the situation? Sometimes we're just in it because everybody else is in it, but it really doesn't matter to us or mean anything to us. So pausing and observing. Number 2, asking, how do I feel? Whoa, major. How do I feel about the situation? And at what level do I feel it? I may be angry at somebody or something that's happening in the situation, but is my level of anger about it more because everybody around me is angry about it? Or am I angry about it because of what was happening to me, just for me? So just having that, it's not that you can't stand up for your friends. It's not that you shouldn't know what other people like, to have an awareness. That's that pause and observe. But then checking in with yourself. How do I really feel about that? Does that really bother me that much? Or am I just picking up that it's bothering everybody else, so I feel like it should bother me? That happens a lot. I feel like it should bother me because it's bothering everybody else, when the whole situation could have started because one person was bothered, and then that was just a domino effect. Everybody said, "Oh, well, if that person's bothered, I should be bothered. If that person's bothered," and then all of a sudden everybody's bothered, but really there was only one person that it irked in the beginning. So how do I feel? How do I feel about that situation? And then how do I choose to respond? How do I choose to respond? And before I respond, do I need to do something to regulate myself? Do I need to breathe? Do I need to calm down? Do I need to walk away and think about this for a minute? Do I need to have a separate conversation with the person that I feel, whatever the conflict is? Do I need to have a conversation with them when I don't have a mob of people around me? Like, that person, I just need to work it out, but I don't need to bring the anger of the entire group to this conversation because it's probably going to end poorly. So what do I need to do to regulate myself, and how am I going to choose to respond to this? So you make the choice of how you respond. And I will say there is usually kids and grown-ups, everybody, humans are really good at, and what we worked a lot on is not being the secret agent of somebody else's anger. So a lot of times if somebody feels, if there's a group that feels that they're wronged or that they're upset about something, and they may legitimately be upset about something, but they know that if they respond to it, then they're going to probably have a consequence, and they don't want that. But if they can get you to be their secret agent to go in and you have the reaction, well, winner, winner, chicken dinner for them, because they got what the emotional response that they wanted. Whereas if somebody walks off and kicks somebody or hits somebody or screams at somebody, yeah, well, then that person that caused the conflict got what was due to them without me having to get in any bit of trouble. And there are kiddos, and you may have one in your family, that they get mixed up in that all the time. So if you do have a kid who often feels like they're sticking up for others or is the spokesperson for others, but ends up getting themselves in a pickle all the time because they are the secret agent for everybody else's anger or sadness or frustration or emotions, having them step back and say, you don't have to be the secret agent. You can be your own person. You don't have to work for the whole. You could just be your own person there. And then what's beneficial for my well-being? So how do I choose to respond that is beneficial for my well-being? Is it going to be beneficial for me to go scream at that person? Is it beneficial for me to have an all-out scream match in front of 27 people? Probably not. So what's in my best well-being? And that is not to say that you should not go talk to that person. That's not to say that they didn't do something that was not respectful and that doesn't need to be addressed. But just making sure that you are just not feeding the fuel for a group and then you become their secret agent. So those are my tips and tricks and I was so excited. I was so excited because it's a repetitive pattern, and it was one that she actually trained her brain to not do anymore. And she did it by mindfully being aware of when she was in a group or a situation. And very often she was the secret agent. And for a long time, she saw it as, well, I'm the only one who will stand up. I'm the only one who's going to say something. But often it wasn't, it wasn't her issue in the first place. They just knew that she would be the one to be reactive. So they would send her into the trenches, into the lion's den, because they knew that she was emotionally strong enough to go do it. It's not whether she should or not. It was, oh yeah, well, she always says something, or she'll always say something for all of us, so we'll send her in. So making sure that your kiddo knows that it's up to them to choose what they want to do about it, and that they need to take that pause and that being mindful. And so, what a tool to have as a tween who's about to hit middle school and high school, to be aware that you do not have to be mixed up in the emotional state of others, that you have the opportunity to make a choice based on how you are feeling on the inside. And if you feel on the inside that you need to stick up for somebody and that is in your core, then that's your choice. And then you stand behind your choice. And that way you don't have those feelings afterward of guilt or remorse because you did something that wasn't even true to you in the first place. That's part of it. That person goes in as a secret agent, does the deed, and then they end up, everybody else goes off and feels good because something got done about it, but that person feels terrible because they might have yelled at somebody, or they might get the consequence, or they get the reaction from the other person, and then we're not making forward progress in how we're doing conflict resolution. So kudos. I was super excited about that one. And I just wanted to take a minute too before we end today and just sort of say we have something really exciting and fun coming up for the Rooted family. Some of you have been asking, and so I'm taking a leap and being brave. And if you've listened to this podcast, you know that growth mindset is one of my nutrients in the soil, my brain boosters. So if I'm going to talk the talk, I got to walk the walk. And part of walking the walk is doing things that take courage, which is another brain booster, and maybe a little scary. But I think we've built a great community, and my mission is to help families, kids, schools, and communities build healthy brains and that inner self-awareness through mindfulness and social emotional connection. And so with my team, I kind of thought we got to do that. I got to reach as many people as I can reach, and I need to build this so that it is a tool that parents have as a resource that makes a true impact in their family. I do see, and I think you guys do too, a lot of things come along and they're great and they're often very shiny and packaged well, but are they making a real difference in how you're parenting and how your kids are learning to use self-awareness, mindfulness, and their social emotional skills to propel them and be successful in life? And is that truly making an impact? So I wanted to make an impact for parents to help coach their kids in the Rooted Family methods so that they can brain build, because we don't want to undo. We don't want to have to go backwards. And we see that a lot in adults. To have to rewire a brain takes a lot of work because we've changed those habits into beliefs. And once we change those habits into beliefs, they are hardwired in there. And so it is possible to go back and rewire, but why not just do it the right way from the beginning? And why not wire it for happiness and health and success from the beginning? So I'm kind of excited, and I will put a little link down in the bottom if you want to be one of the first people to find out when this is launching, because it's coming. And I don't have a date yet set. We're still in like the creation phase. So our creative brains are going haywire and wiring, and just think about how much brain growth I'm having right now just by being creative. But we're creating a membership site for parents, kids, families to create deeper social emotional bonds and mindful awareness, and to build strong brains. So what this is going to look like is each month, parents will get a parent coaching tips and tricks. It will have a theme behind it. Parents and kids will get journal pages. So one of the resounding things I hear from people when I go out in the community and talk is, we've tried gratitude journals, they don't work. We've tried doing that, it doesn't work. So here's the deal. I get it, because it happened to me too. When I did a gratitude journal, and some of you may have heard my story if you've heard me speak, I used to do a gratitude journal every night, and it worked for a long time. And then at one point I was just writing things down to get it done so I could go to sleep because I was exhausted. And that's not truly being grateful. That's just going through the motions. So I actually started a practice where I integrate it into my day, just like everything else I teach, integrating that mindful gratitude component throughout my day. And I call it the 3 things, and we can talk about it at a different time. But that's what I want, that integration into your family to happen. So you're not just going through the motions, or I don't ever want anybody to be like, I'm fighting with my kid to do a gratitude journal. That's not. I want kids, we want to wire their brains and have them do it in a fun, engaging way. So, and we want you to connect with them. So what it's going to be is a journal page for kids that has a theme. So every month you get a new theme. So it's not going to get boring and dull and be the same old thing. It's going to be new and fresh and different. Although you're still going to be working on those concepts of the Root family, so you're still brain building. I will I'm going to plan it out for you, is basically what I'm saying. So I'm going to plan to do that brain boosting, so you don't even have to think about it as a parent. You just know that those skills coming in are going to help get you to the next level. Have a great day. Peace.